My wife just looked at me, slid her wedding ring off her finger, and casually said we shouldn't wear them out tonight so they don't get dirty. We were just going to a normal place. My stomach completely dropped and I had to force a fake smile while my brain was literally screaming. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have a totally wild post from the relationship advice subreddit, originally posted by a user whose account is now deleted. Get comfortable and let's get right into the OP's post. Hi everyone, I'm a 30-year-old guy and my wife is a 30-year-old woman. We dated for a solid 6 years before we finally got married about 4 months ago. Honestly, those 6 years were amazing. We were that couple that just made sense. We never really had crazy drama, we always talked things out, and our communication was top tier. Even our intimacy was great. Sure, it went up and down sometimes depending on how stressed we were with life, but that's totally normal for any long-term relationship. I never, not even for a single second, doubted that she was the absolute perfect person for me. We've always been the kind of people who care about how we look. We go to the gym, we stay in good shape, and we like to dress nice and look stylish when we go out. That was just our vibe, but the important thing is that we never fundamentally changed our style or our appearance in any major way since the day we met. We were comfortable in our own skin and with each other, at least that's how it was until we officially tied the knot. Almost immediately after we got married, something weird shifted. It wasn't loud or explosive, but it was noticeable. My wife started dressing and acting a lot sexier. Now, as a husband, you'd think I'd be thrilled, right? And if it was just for me, behind closed doors, I obviously wouldn't be complaining. But this was different. This was her changing how she presented herself to the entire world. The vibe shifts. It started with small things. She started wearing dresses that were cut way lower than her usual style. She started spending a ton of extra time doing her hair and putting on heavier makeup, just to run normal errands. Then came the underwear situation. She came home one day with a bunch of brand new, super sexy thongs. At first I was like, awesome, she bought some fun stuff for a special occasion or a date night for us. I thought it was a sweet surprise to celebrate being newlyweds, but no. These literally became her new everyday standard underwear. She was wearing them on random Tuesdays. She was wearing them to her regular boring office job. It just didn't make any sense to me. I am naturally a systems and patterns kind of guy. My brain is literally wired to notice when things change or when people break their usual habits. If I see a change in a pattern, it's a massive neon sign in my head. And right now, all the signs were flashing red. All of these changes were superficial things related to how other people saw her. The discomfort really hit a peak a little while later. We were at a mutual friend's wedding, having a good time. The music was loud, people were dancing, and my wife was out on the floor acting completely wild. She was dancing in a way that was so overly provocative, it honestly made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, I was out there dancing and having fun too, but she was acting like she was putting on a performance for the whole room. At one point she leaned over to me and said, "It's so sad that our friend X still doesn't have a girlfriend. I'm going to go dance with him," and she just took off and threw herself into dancing with him. It felt so strange. Since we've always had great communication, I decided I couldn't just sit there and overthink it. I had to talk to her. So I sat her down in our living room and tried to be as gentle and supportive as possible. I asked her, "Hey, do you feel less sexy now that we're officially married? Because I need you to know I think you're as amazing and beautiful as always. But if you're feeling down and just want to get some of your confidence or swagger back, I am totally here to support you." I even swallowed my own pride and asked if maybe she was dropping hints that I needed to change my look or step up my game to spice things up. She looked at me like I was crazy. She completely insisted that she wasn't doing anything different at all. She brushed it off entirely, but come on, I've known this woman for 7 years. I know her better than anyone else on the planet. I knew she was acting different, and the fact that she was totally denying it just made me feel even more stressed out. Then, the scariest moment happened. We were getting ready to go out for a casual night, just grabbing some drinks. She was standing by her dresser, and she casually took off her wedding ring. She set it down and said, "Let's not wear our rings when we go out tonight. I'm worried about getting them dirty." I froze. Getting them dirty? We were going to a normal, clean place. We've gone to messy places before, and this was never, ever a concern. It was such a fake, flimsy excuse. It honestly felt like she just didn't want anyone to know she was married. My mind started going to the darkest places. What was going on? She spends maybe one night a week out without me, usually with friends or at the gym, so she's not sneaking around late at night. I didn't want to think she was cheating, but the pattern was undeniable. Was she trying to get a confidence boost from random guys? Was she thinking about asking for an open marriage? I was losing my mind because the change was so obvious, yet she refused to admit it. Digging for clues. After I originally posted my problem online to get advice, I realized I couldn't just wait around and go crazy. The "it's all in your head" excuse wasn't going to work for me. I decided to do some investigating. I called up my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's husband. My wife and her sister are absolute best friends, like two peas in a pod. They tell each other everything. I figured if anyone knew what was going on in my wife's head, it was her sister. And maybe my brother-in-law had noticed something. We met up to chat, and honestly, what he told me blew my mind. He looked really tired and stressed. He told me that his wife, my sister-in-law, had been incredibly depressed, sad, and ridiculously jealous ever since my wedding. Apparently, seeing us get married triggered something dark in her. She had been walking around making super toxic, passive-aggressive comments behind our backs. She would say things like, "Oh look, now the perfect couple can have their perfect life." It got worse. She would just casually drop terrible statistics into conversations, saying things out loud like, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. I wonder who we know that will be the first to split up. She wouldn't aim it directly at anyone, but it was obviously meant for my wife to hear. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces started snapping together. My brother-in-law mentioned that the two sisters had gone on a big shopping trip recently. Guess what? Those sexy thongs and the low-cut dresses? My sister-in-law pressured my wife into buying them on that exact trip. My sister-in-law has been going through a horrific time with her job lately, making her feel like a failure. On top of that, and I didn't really want to bring this up, but it makes it all make sense, she recently found out she is infertile. She has a history of serious relationship and trust issues. Basically, her own life is falling apart, and because she's so unhappy, she started deliberately planting toxic seeds of doubt in my wife's head about settling down. She was basically trying to sabotage our marriage out of pure jealousy. The truth comes out. Armed with all this crazy new information, I went back to my wife. We were driving to visit her family for the weekend, so we had a few hours stuck in the car to really talk. Because I knew she was basically being manipulated by her own sister, I brought it up very, very gently. I didn't yell or accuse her. I just calmly explained what I had learned. Finally, the walls came down. She admitted everything. Deep breath. She told me her sister had been constantly in her ear, saying awful things like, just because you're married doesn't mean you can let yourself go. You need to keep your game up. If he ever leaves you, what do you think you'd have left? Nothing. My wife said she tried to ignore it at first, but hearing it constantly started to mess with her head. When I was out of state for work recently, my wife stayed with her sister. They spent days reading garbage, toxic relationship advice articles from magazines, and that's when the shopping trip happened. Her sister completely guilt-tripped her into changing her whole style so she wouldn't lose her edge. And the craziest part? The rings. I asked her why she wanted to take off our wedding rings that one night. She looked super embarrassed and confessed that her sister had read some dumb article telling couples to take off their rings when they go out to gauge how people act around you. It was supposed to be some weird test to make sure neither of us would act flirty or take advantage of the situation. It was the dumbest, most incredibly flimsy logic ever, but it matched exactly what my brother-in-law had told me. Her sister was trying to make my wife paranoid. The whole "are you sure marriage is really what you want" agenda was working. I am honestly so angry at my sister-in-law, but part of me just feels bad for her. My brother-in-law is a great guy who is working overtime to pay the bills while she struggles with her career and her infertility issues. I also have to take some blame here. I've been super busy with my own career changes lately, and maybe I haven't been as supportive or present as I should have been. I left my wife vulnerable to her sister's toxic energy. Moving forward, my wife and I are on the exact same page. We are going to slowly pull back and give her sister some space. We are not going to let her misery drag our relationship down. The relief I feel is unreal. It wasn't about another guy. It wasn't about our love fading. It was just a jealous family member trying to pull us into her own darkness. We dealt with her sister's drama early in our relationship and we can handle it now. We are totally in the clear. Let's see what the Reddit community had to say about this messy situation. Nightingales 219 had a pretty common early theory. You both just turned 30. Could it be that she feels the need to do this to check if she's still in the market, without any bad intentions towards you? She might feel her ego being boosted by being wanted by random people, without ever actually acting on it. Gristchops didn't hold back and saw the danger. Not wanting to wear the rings when out and dancing with someone else for a really flimsy reason are massive red flags. Maybe she's leading up to asking about an open marriage. You need to be careful. One bar gave some really solid advice. Her not accepting to wear her wedding ring, flirtatious dancing, and wearing special occasion underwear suggests she is definitely vying for attention. You need to sit down and tell her other people notice this, because it could quickly lead to something way worse. Man, what an absolute roller coaster. This post is the ultimate proof that if your gut is telling you something is wrong, you need to listen to it. OP is a total legend for looking at the whole situation logically. A lot of guys would have just started screaming, getting super jealous, or accusing their wife of cheating right away. Instead, he noticed a glitch in her pattern and actually did some smart investigating to find the real source of the problem. The sister-in-law situation is incredibly sad, but also incredibly toxic. Dealing with job loss and infertility is devastating, and she clearly needs serious professional therapy to work through that pain. But the old saying, misery loves company, is so true here. Trying to ruin your newlywed sister's marriage just because you hate your own life is next level messed up. I'm so glad OP approached his wife gently. By doing that, he broke the spell her sister had her under and saved his marriage from completely falling apart. That wraps up today's post. Dealing with toxic family members is always so exhausting, especially when they try to mess with your relationship. Have you guys ever had a friend or relative try to sabotage your happiness because they were jealous? How did you shut it down? Let me know all your posts in the comments below. If you like this video and want to hear more crazy posts, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Stay awesome and I'll see you guys in the next video.